friends, Kim Skinner here for Kat Scrappiness, and I am making a really cute little Valentine's Day hot chocolate holder. I pulled out the Valentine Quokkas stamp set that I have because I'm going to use some sentiments. I've got the new Rainbow Hugs word die. I love this word die. The word dies have these beautiful scripts and the shadow piece. I've got my sentiment dies there. I pulled out the Say It With Hearts in case I wanted anything from there. I've also got the mini Slimline cover die here, the Vines mini Slimline. And I pulled out my mini Slimline envelope dies because I want to make like a gift holder for this, and I'm going to use the envelope bits, although there are lots of extra pieces in there. I've got this Spectrum of Love pattern paper set. This is generously sized slimline paper, 4 by 10 and 3/4. It's nice heavy paper. It's got a nice glossy look to it. It's got patterns on both sides. You can see it's light and dark on one side and dark and light on the other side. I pulled these two colors out to use because I had some sort of coordinating glitter paper. I'm going to use some embellishments because I'm going to make shaker cards. I'm going to make 2 of the same cards in these 2 different colors. So I'll show you how to make one, and then I'll show you the 2 finished cards at the end. So I die cut out all my pieces. I cut out a front, a back, and a flap for each one of the envelopes. And then I have my cover die, vine cover die there. Isn't that pretty? Cut in the slimline size. I love that. And I've got acetate. The word dies, I just cut the word hugs. So I have 3 white pieces and 1 black piece for each sentiment. I haven't decided whether I'm going to use the white or the black yet. We'll see as I'm putting it together. And I decided that the white cardstock is a little bit too stark compared to the colors that I'm using. So I decided I would actually create my own colored cardstock here, since I didn't really have any cardstock colors that coordinate with these 2 colors. So I pulled out some Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide, and I'm just going to ink blend this over my envelope pieces. For the pink, I pulled out Picked Raspberry, and I have to say these 2 colors match these 2 different pattern papers that I chose. So I'm going to go ahead and cover the entire front piece. I'm considering this the front, I guess, although technically I suppose it's the back. I'm coloring in this whole piece, the whole flap, and then I just need the edges of the back piece because that's where my pattern paper is going to go. So in between, just make sure you clean up your craft mat so you don't get that ink all over everything. I do put these pieces aside to dry a little bit because the ink does make that paper a little bit wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue 3 of these hugs pieces together. I like to use my word dies and sort of make them look like enamel pieces that you can get some beautiful enamel words and for scrapbooking and cards and things like that, but you can fake it and make it yourself. This is my DIY version. So I'm using 3 layers of white, and then I've got black if I decide that I want the word hugs to be black. I'll put that on top of it so it will be 4 layers thick. Usually I do 3 or 4, and then I'm going to cover it with clear embossing powder and heat set it, and you'll see how nice and shiny this gets. And you can see that I use my reverse tweezers. I'm using some Lawn Fawn glue there. So I'm just testing to see, do I want to leave this white or do I want to do this in black? And as I'm putting this down, they were kind of offset, and I realized that's exactly what I want to do. I'm going to put the black on top, but I'm going to shift it a little bit to the left so that you'll see the white peeking from below it. And it's just such a nice little touch to just give it that little shift. And you can see along the left side of each letter, there's a little bit of white. So I went ahead and did the second one as well. So this part I did them both at the same time because it's just as easy to do two of these when you have all the pieces out. So I'm just using my VersaMark ink. Whatever embossing ink you have, use that. That'll work just fine. And then I'm just using my reverse tweezers to kind of, dip it in the clear embossing powder. So I'll do this to both of them. And then I'll just heat set them with my heat gun. Now, for this one, I'm just doing this one time, and because mostly I just want to make it really shiny and sturdy, but sometimes I will do the clear embossing twice. So when it's still hot, I'll dunk it again in the clear embossing powder and heat it a second time. And what that does is when I show you what this looks like in just a minute, you'll see that they're very shiny, but they're a little dimply. If you do that twice with the clear embossing powder, the dimples go away and you get a very smooth, shiny piece that really does look like an enamel piece. It's very pretty. It's like a nice thing to add to scrapbook layouts and card fronts and things like that. So I like to do that. So I pulled out the pieces that I inked up, and I'm very carefully folding them on the score lines. And these scored bits will serve as the flaps to adhere the two envelope pieces together, or actually 3 envelope pieces. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm considering this technically I suppose this is the front of the envelope, isn't it? So I did the same thing there. Now on each one of those flaps, I'm going to use some double-sided adhesive. So I pulled out the 1/4 inch. The 1/2 inch was a little bit too close for comfort. And so I'm just using that on each of the flaps. And then I'm just going to very carefully remove the backing paper, and I will carefully put these together. And I didn't have to. My pattern paper is going to go over that part of the envelope that I didn't ink the center of. So I was being a little frugal with my ink. Probably could have been even more so, right? So I'm just making sure that I'm lining each of these edges up carefully. And that's the whole envelope. You could leave it just like that. I don't know why I did this here. I decided that, I don't know, the white just felt so stark to me today. And so I decided to add a little bit of color on the inside there. So when I pull out the flat piece to score and add the adhesive to that, it actually makes me feel like now I need to add a little ink to the inside of that. So I do. Just a little bit though. I'm just giving it a hint of color and knocking down that bright white a little bit. And I have several different sizes of adhesive tapes, and I use them for all different kinds of projects. So I like this. Probably if I could only pick one, I would pick this 1/4 inch tape. And that's the flap. So I'm going to now cut down this pattern paper. So I decided instead of doing a lot of fussy measuring, I'm just going to pull out a pencil. I'm going to mark on the side and on the top where I need to cut, and then I'll pull out my trimmer and I'll make those cuts. I could have measured it and, but it's so much easier just to use a pencil and mark it. And that's what I'm going to do. So a little bit of that envelope will peek around the outside, and then that mini slimline will allow some of the pattern paper to actually peek around the edge. The way I did it, you might want to trim that paper down to the same size as that mini frame instead of the envelope. So I'm adding double-sided adhesive tape here, and I love this tape that just tears. It just makes it so much easier. I'm very lazy about pulling out scissors and things like that. So I'm actually going to put my acetate on the back of that. And the only acetate pieces I have are like 4x6 size, so I will trim those down. And I'm going to stick the acetate to this cover die piece. So I'm putting this right along the bottom and the left edge, and I'm going to I'm just showing you there that you could curl up those leaves if you wanted to, but I'm not going to do that on this project, but you could. It looks really pretty. So I trim this off, and I save the bigger piece. That piece is just going to go in the garbage, but that bigger piece I'll save because I can trim that into smaller pieces and use it for my pop-up cards. So don't throw those things away. So I'm using some really nice foam tape here. I love this foam tape that Kat Scrappiness has in the shop. Like, this is the original foam tape. When they first started coming out with it, was super thick. Like, it was like ridiculous. And if you made a shaker card with it, it just really stuck up a lot. And I didn't really like making shaker cards because of the foam tape, but this new foam tape is wonderful. Like, it's easier to work with. I don't know what it's made out of that's different than the other stuff, but the cards used to feel so stiff when you got done with them, and this stuff is very flexible. They still feel thick, but it doesn't make them feel stiff. I don't know. I never used to like making shaker cards. So I am trimming the edge of my foam down so that it's straight, so that I can really butt that up next to the foam pieces that I've got there. And I'm doing this because these will prevent my shaker bits from falling out of the shaker card. So I'm, carefully putting these down and trimming them so that they fit nice and tight against each other. So I'm removing the backer pieces. Now at first, I do try to always use my, this is Kat Scrappiness's new embossing tool, anti-static tool. So I always do that on the acetate because it's got a lot of static. Here I'm using the XOXO clay bits. She's got 3 different varieties of lips there. I'm adding some clear, these are 3mm clear drops. They're so pretty. And I put this inside there, but this is not the way to do this. I decided I'm going to put that paper on, but there's no way to line that up like that. So I flipped it all over, made sure all the shaker bits were in the middle of that pattern paper. And then I centered my cover die on that, and that looks so much better. And look how nicely that will shake and everything. And I used a liquid adhesive here. I think it would be better to use the double-sided adhesive tape, but liquid adhesive gives you some wiggle room, which is why I decided to use it there. And you can see these shaker bits have X's and O's, they have sprinkles, they have a variety of colors, and one of the colors is like a minty green that works with that paper. So you can see the hot chocolate fit perfectly inside there. One hot chocolate packet is perfect. I bet a nice flat Hershey bar would work also. So I'm pulling out the Valentine Quokka, and I went ahead and used the Happy Valentine's Day and the Chef's Kiss, and I put those up on foam. They are heat embossed in white on black, and I decided just to stack them because I liked it. And I've got the little hugs die, and you can see the white peeking out from the black, so I love the contrast on that. And now I'm adding more of that glue. And I really love these shaker bits. She's got the solid red ones, and then she's got the ones I'll use in the other card are pink, red, and white lips. The ones I used have green hearts that say love. They've got a little bit of blue sprinkles, white sprinkles, and pink and red X's and O's. It's really a fun combination. So I decided to add some of these Bubblicious pink pearls to the front. I also pulled out the light turquoise ones because I thought that would be what I was using. But since I had some pinks on the inside. I thought having a little pink on the outside wouldn't be a terrible plan. And I'm just using 3 of the pearls just because I love them. And that glue is going to dry clear and matte, so I'm not worried about it. I was a little sloppy with it there. And I went ahead and did the same thing with my pink card, although with the pink card I used lots of smooches, pink, red, and white lips on the inside. And they might also have some, nope, they're just lips. And I also used the pink Bubblicious pearls on the front of this one too. Isn't it pretty? Like the colors are just so striking. And one is very non-traditional, and then I have the pink on the other side, which is pretty traditional. There are all my Kat Scrappiness tools. I'll put the links to everything below. I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Kat Scrappiness's YouTube channel while you're here, and click the bell to get notifications every time we upload a new video. Thank you, friends.